When we started in February, following some of the investigations that we had undertaken in 2021, we call upon all the operators to ensure that the subscribers, all subscribers in their number, to be duly registered. And when we started that campaign early in the year, of course, we saw some progress in terms of activities and results. But then we suspended the activities until after the election. So we gave a 6 months window, and that date lapsed on the 15th of October, which was the day before yesterday. Based on that campaign, companies such as Safaricom, who is the leading mobile service provider, has registered significant compliance rate, and here we are talking about 93% of all their subscribers are duly registered. And when you talk about those numbers, we're talking about up to 40 million SIM cards out there that are now duly registered. Of course, if you break down those numbers, you'll be looking at numbers that are duly registered. I know those SIM cards have been active in the last 30 days or 90 days. And to me, that is significant. It improves trust when it comes to mobile transactions. That stakeholders can actually transact knowing very well that they are dealing with genuine individuals. And when you look at Airtel as well, they've moved from about 40% compliance rate to now 81% compliance rate. And now the question we're asking ourselves, who are these 19% in case of Airtel that are not compliant? In case of Safaricom, we're asking the question, who are these 7% that are not compliant? So since the number is smaller, we've tasked them to do a mapping exercise to be able to identify these specific individuals so that if there are people who have genuine challenges when it comes to registration, we can actually address those challenges and to ensure that they are properly registered. But if they are crooks, people who have misused the system, then we must ensure that those people are actually disconnected from the network. So what is going on now is an analysis of those unregistered numbers. And for us, that is significant. That is how we're going to guarantee that the mobile services, mobile telecommunication services can be trusted in Kenya. Where are these SIM cards? With this, with the 7% remaining, it's easier to actually narrow down and find out where they are. And if it turns out that they're in those community places, it will be very easy now to deal with such a situation. And mark you, I think Kenyans must also be warned that if you are not careful, your identification details will be used by those criminals in committee to register a SIM card. And then at the end of the day, something goes wrong. You're the one who is going to blame. Today I know of some cases where some people stole ID details of others and went registered numbers, and now they have Fuliza dates, on those numbers, and they're having now the real owners are having difficulties processing credit facilities when it comes to the relationships with the financial institutions. So Kenyans at large must be very, very careful. And for us, if you register, we can guarantee your safety. If you don't register, we cannot guarantee your safety. In terms of deregistration, if you looked at the reports that happened, we gave out last week, between February and June, we had up to 264,000, if I'm not wrong, numbers that were actually deregistered. But we're trying to analyze that information further because now we've seen some reports that are indicating for more than 500,000, but we're not very sure about that. So this window of between 15th October and maybe end of next week, we'll be able now to narrow down to know the exact figures in terms of what has actually happened when it comes to disconnection. What you don't know is that a lot of work went into that, a lot of coordination. One, ensuring that there was network, 100% coverage. And we worked closely with the operators, together with the IBC, to ensure that that happened. Secondly, on a constant basis, we ensured that the cyberspace was secure for purposes of the elections. So we had teams deployed to constantly monitor the activities around the elections from within and outside the country. And the only conclusion we have is that everything went very well. And we are happy that as the Communication Authority of Kenya was able to deliver, together with the partners, deliver something worthwhile to, for the country. In terms of how many SIM cards a single individual should have, is a debate that is ongoing. There are pros and cons. There are those who are saying we must have two. If you know, there's a process of regulatory review that is ongoing, headed by a task force, multi-stakeholder task force that was put together by the Ministry of ICT. And that's a subject that has come up.
We see quite a number of attacks on a daily basis. For the last quarter, I think it was 196 million attacks, and we were able to issue about 58,000 advisories to various organizations on how to deal with the attacks that they are facing.
Conference today. So what are the most common attack vectors that we're seeing being used by cyber threat actors? One is misinformation, disinformation and malinformation, which is among the greatest challenges that we're facing today. And you've observed that with digital platforms enabling the rapid sharing of information, social media amplifies the propagation of misinformation, disinformation and malinformation. Ransomware continues to be a major cybersecurity challenge, affecting organizations and individuals across different sectors. And we have seen, for example, ransomware groups like Conti and Lockheed targeting SMEs, and you know that SMEs represent 19% or more of this economy. More so, they have been targeting the healthcare sector and government critical infrastructure.
And we will all be part of this journey, and my role is to bring support to bear from the UK's Africa Cyber Programme, both in terms of cyber expertise and also funding a range of interventions, from helping to secure critical national infrastructure, fighting cybercrime, and raising awareness and key skills to support Kenya's cyber development journey. So it is more important than ever for us to come together at enterprise, national and international level to combat those threats. So over the last 2 years, we've seen the creation in Kenya of NC4 to enable better coordination across government, and more recently the publication of the new National Cybersecurity Strategy, which gives a framework for how Kenya will move forward in this space to really secure Kenya's digital nation in the future.